Fox News alert, silence from the White House as special counsel John Durham's report reveals just how forcefully Democrats pushed the Trump-Russia narrative. You're watching Fox and Friends First here on a Wednesday morning. I'm Todd Pilot.
And I'm Ashley Strohmeyer in for Carly Shimkus. Now, key figures from our intelligence agencies and the media are under a microscope as they face allegations of pushing a baseless probe while also providing cover for Hillary Clinton.
Brooke Sigmund has more on all of it. Hey, Brooke.
Hey, good morning, Todd. Ashley, the White House is staying tight-lipped on the Durham report with no comment from President Biden as his press secretary walks off the podium when asked about the troubling revelations. Watch this.
What is the White House reaction to Special Counsel Durham's report on how the FBI handled the Trump-Russia probe?
I would leave it to the Department of Justice to speak to.
Does he agree with Special Counsel Durham that there needs to be wholesale changes at the FBI?
Again, that is with the Department of Justice. That's not something that I'm going to speak from the podium. As you just stated in your question, we believe in an independent Department of Justice. That's what the president said when he was running, and that's what the president has said the last 2 years. Thank you so much. I'll see you guys in Japan.
Durham's report found the FBI had no factual evidence of collusion between then-candidate Donald Trump and Russia before the 2016 presidential election. It also says CIA Director John Brennan briefed then-President Barack Obama, then-Vice President Joe Biden, and other top national security officials about a Hillary Clinton plan to tie Trump to Russia in July 2016. And now all eyes are on Democratic Congressman Adam Schiff, one of the most outspoken members of Congress when it comes to accusing Trump of collusion.
So there's clear evidence on the issue of collusion, and this adds to that body of evidence. There's ample evidence of collusion in plain sight, and that is true.
Have Democrats found any evidence of collusion?
Yes, we have. You can see evidence in plain sight on the issue of collusion, pretty compelling evidence.
According to the Durham report, one of Schiff's aides intimidated a university researcher who refused to discuss Trump's supposed ties to Russia in November 2018. Now, that researcher was supposed to give a presentation about university research contracts, but Schiff staffers instead asked them to analyze a news article about alleged links between Trump and Russia's Alpha Bank. The report reads in part, quote, one of the House Permanent Select Committee on Intelligence staffers said their boss, Congressman Adam Schiff, would soon take over leadership of the committee. The researcher took the comment as a mild threat. House Speaker Kevin McCarthy says Schiff's past claims raise serious questions, including whether he should even be in Congress. Listen.
It really raises the question about Adam Schiff. You remember when he told the American people he had proof? Remember when he told them he didn't know the whistleblower? And what he put America through and openly lied to us? It raises a lot of questions about his character, his standing inside of Congress, or whether he should even be in Congress.
In a statement released after the Durham report, Schiff says the fact that there was no evidence of collusion before the investigation began is a, quote, very important distinction. Ashley.
Yeah, and that comment by McCarthy there is interesting because if the Democrats are going to go after one George Santos for lying, boy, this was a much bigger lie that impacted the entire nation for the better part of 4 to 5 years. So really interesting comment there by the House Speaker. Brooke, thank you. Here's Trump's former Attorney General, Bill Barr.
I think what this has shown is that the source, and there are really two sources and drivers of this whole ugly episode, and that is Hillary Clinton's campaign, who launched a smear campaign that was based on getting Russian sources to spread false information about Donald Trump and peddle it to the press and to the government, the FBI. And both the press and the FBI abandoned any semblance of professionalism and took up the cause with a vengeance. And I think the real story here from the FBI's perspective is what an abomination this was, this so-called investigation. If it wasn't a witch hunt, it's a damn good imitation of one.
Okay, we're going to bring in Jake Bequette, is a former Senate candidate and podcast host who joins us now. Jake, thanks for getting up with us, but I want to dive right into part of Brooke's piece that was pretty interesting. I want to talk about Senator Jack Reed and, more importantly, Adam Schiff. When you look at those allegations against Schiff's office threatening people, in particular a university researcher, how desperate do allegations like this make the Democrats look at just trying to pin anything they can on former President Trump?
Well, it certainly took off the mask when it came to Donald Trump. I think that is maybe the most important legacy of Donald Trump's term. And he is still obviously a major player in GOP politics. But, really the left, the deep state, the media, Donald Trump is the great revealer. I've always called him that. He really showed the American people who these people really are. And they tossed away all norms and professionalism, as Bill Barr said. And, really, unless there's major consequences, they have no incentive to change their behavior. I mean, all these agencies, the FBI released a statement. It was kind of milquetoast, mealy mouthed, saying, yeah, there's going to be changes. We're sorry. But unless there are consequences, right, unless people face actual prison time for their actions, there's really going to be no reform. The deep state has really taken over Washington, D.C., and I just don't see any hope for reform coming from D.C. unless there are major consequences stemming from these revelations. I'm not seeing it right now.
And I think that is the most concerning aspect of all this. And that's a bold statement in light of the fact that what happened was pretty darn concerning in and of itself. What consequences attach? If there are none, what happens going forward? I want to get your thought on a name that Brooke mentioned in her piece, President Barack Obama, because all of this got started while he was president. You haven't heard a lot about his culpability in all of this, yet nevertheless, the national apparatus, the national FBI, all that stuff happened while he was the president. So should he face any consequences, or should he face any scrutiny for what he was responsible for in terms of leading this to happen?
Absolutely, he should. I mean, you see former President Donald Trump, he's being dragged in front of judges and juries and woke left-wing prosecutors in certain jurisdictions after his term in office. And I think President Barack Obama should face the same consequences. If D.C. is not going to do it through the federal government, then some of these red state governors, red state jurisdictions, places that right-wingers control, they should force the issue. They should be looking at the Clinton family. They should be looking at the Obama family. They should be looking at the Biden family. There's great exposure in certain states like Arkansas, where I'm from. Arkansas is a deep red state. We have full control of our state and local governments. Why don't we fight fire with fire? Because, as you said, until there are consequences, the left, the media, the deep state, D.C., they have no incentive to change their behavior. It's only going to get worse, because when they do this, when they take our government to this level, this is way worse than Watergate ever was. Okay, this is Watergate on steroids. And if they're not going to face consequences, it's just going to get even worse.
Yeah, I mean, and it all kind of goes back to the media. The media refuses to cover this. They refuse to hammer it out like they did the Russian disinfo of President Trump. So my question for that is, where's the media in this? But we do have to get to this. James Clapper, the former director of national intelligence, will sit in a closed-door congressional meeting today to discuss his role in the push to discredit the Hunter Biden laptop. But remember when Clapper warned of Russian disinfo? Watch this.
I will tell you that my dashboard warning light was clearly on, and I think that was the case with all of us in the intelligence community, very concerned about the nature of these approaches to the Russians.
So, Jake, that was in May of 2017. But earlier this year, he said the media distorted what they said. So it goes back to what you said. Is there even going to be any accountability? Because he's the sixth person to come in and be brought in to face not consequences, but at least face questions. But where's the accountability?
Yeah, it's all kabuki theater. I hope that I'm proven wrong, but until I am, I'm going to go to my previous point. This is all hot air. This is just noise. Until we see action, the American people are going to know that, this is not going to be turned on its face. And, Clapper, I mean, all these guys, these former intelligence officials, the infamous 51 who signed that letter, I mean, those really weren't caseworkers. Those weren't intelligence operatives. Those are essentially bureaucrats. Those are people who are career, they started off as intelligence analysts over at Langley, and they worked their way up through the system. They're no different than someone who's a politician or some kind of a left-wing activist. So it really just goes to show you that these deep state agencies have been weaponized against the right wing, against people who are in the center in this country. And the message is out that the new Stasi has arrived. And unless you get with the program, unless you agree with this left-wing worldview, then, you could be next.
Meantime, we're learning that more Chinese money went to the Penn Biden Center than previously known. Some of those donors had ties to Hunter. Think tank received at least $105 million in Chinese donations from mid-2018 to mid-2022, nearly double what was previously known. You'll recall that a number of classified documents were also found in the Penn Biden Center, and reportedly some members of the Chinese CCP, or at least Chinese organizations, I should say, had access to said documents. So do you have any doubt that this Chinese money influenced Joe Biden's policy when it comes to China?
No, not at all. I mean, the CCP, the Chinese Communist Party, they have their hooks not just in many politicians and agencies within the U.S., but also through major corporations. They hold tremendous amounts of leverage over companies, some of our largest market cap companies that do a lot of business in China, and they're everywhere. I mean, just in my home state of Arkansas, for one example, at the University of Arkansas, the flagship university, a Chinese national was arrested for espionage a couple of years ago by the FBI. I mean, and this is in Arkansas. So if this is happening in a small town in northwest Arkansas, this is happening all over the country. And you're exactly right to point out the CCP's connections at the highest level of our government. This kind of corruption. You hear the left and the media scream about the connections between Trump and the Russians. I mean, we have cold, hard evidence that the Biden family, from Joe all the way down through Hunter, have been connected through the CCP. There's corrupt CCP money running up and down that family. And you have to ask the question, what were they paying for? What were they getting in return for these, for funneling this money? And again, unless there are consequences, unless things really come to a head where some members of this Biden crime family face serious prison time, there's going to be absolutely no consequences, no reform, no hope for change. It can't come from D.C. or New York. It has to come from these red areas.
Yeah, I mean, we'll see if there's accountability. Right now, it's just a bunch of talk and a bunch of questioning with nothing to come to fruition. Jake Bequette, thank you so much for your time.
I'm Steve Doocy.
I'm Brian Kilmeade.
And I'm Ainsley Earhart. And click here to subscribe to the Fox News YouTube page to catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis.